So even though I took art class growing up as a kid, I still really struggle to draw this diagram, but I wanted to draw this diagram because I know it can help you guys. This video is about how you guys can push yourself out of your comfort zone, which is this red zone here. And the aim of this video is to help you get to the green zone by sharing some practical tips that have helped me, especially this year. And I want to share my story and basically give you guys some tips that you can implement today. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Like I said, we first need to start off by understanding exactly what is the comfort zone. It may seem quite obvious, but the comfort zone is a psychological state where a person feels familiar, they feel at ease, or they feel in control. And it's mainly characterized by routine behaviors that produce a steady level of performance without experiencing any stress or risk. So in other words, this is where you would feel most comfortable, right? You feel like you're in control of most situations. The problem is it's very difficult to grow and achieve any sort of goal if you remain in this state for a long period of time. And for myself, like an example of when I had to come out of my comfort zone was when I made the decision to move from South Africa to the UK. In all honesty, life at home was very comfortable. You know, I had friends that I grew up with, I had family who I could occasionally speak two African languages, one being Sotho and one being Zulu. I felt very comfortable at home, but making that shift to the UK in terms of the culture shock and in terms of like getting adjusted to the place was a major shift for me. And even when I came here, like most people would ask, why on earth would you want to choose to move to the UK when you have the beautiful landscapes of South Africa? It's hot, the energy is correct, you guys have amapiano, gqom, like all those things that make like an environment very familiar. So a lot of people ask me, why did I make the shift to the UK? And it came down to one simple concept: growth and opportunity. And look, I understood that being in an environment where I wasn't going to be challenged mentally by different perspectives and people who view the world differently, I was never going to reach the next level of success, which is exactly what happened when I turned 20. I remember walking down to my accommodation building, and that's where I actually met my first mentor, and he challenged my mindset in many ways. A lot of the beliefs I had growing up were challenged because I didn't know that people could reach a certain level of success by thinking differently, by thinking in a way that was very unconventional. And in doing so, it led me to buy my first ever high ticket program. And that was a big decision for me because I had never spent more than $1,000 on anything, especially mindset training. So something like that for me at least was very uncomfortable, but was absolutely necessary because where I am today, I wouldn't be without making that purchase. Which leads me to the second point, which is entering the fear zone. I really hope you guys can see that. If my handwriting is not good, I do apologize. But as you can see, it's the first initial stage after you exit your comfort zone, right? This is typically where people will feel judged, or they'll feel that they're affected by the opinions of others. They lack a lot of self-confidence and they find every single excuse under the moon not to go on to a new endeavor. And I was this person for a long time because I was afraid of the unknown and I had a lot of resistance to change, but I knew that this was going to prevent me from getting to the next level. And look, in all honesty, I was in that fear zone for a damn long time, like a really long time, because I was affected by the opinions of others. Because when you're growing up in high school and stuff, you want to seem like you have everything together. I don't know why that's the case, but for me at least, I wanted to feel like I had everything under control. And anytime I didn't feel that way and I felt like people were judging me all the time, it would stop me from getting to the next zone, which was actually learning from my mistakes. So I would find every single excuse not to do something that I wasn't good at. I didn't want to present my vulnerabilities or my weak points. And I realized now that that was terrible thinking, because if you want to get to the next level, you will suck in those initial stages. It's just a part of life. You will suck in those initial stages. But once you become an expert in whatever field you're doing, you can go back and teach other people how to get out of that fear zone, and hopefully that can fulfill you at the same time. What really shifted my perspective with the fear zone, I know it's going to sound quite cliche, but I remember my mentor telling me, you can either have the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. And I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But now that I'm sort of lingering in the learning zone, I understand now what he was saying by that, right? So I'm trying to encourage you guys to get out of that fear zone and enter the learning zone, which brings me to my second point, which is entering the learning zone. This is where we're starting to acquire new skills, we extend beyond our comfort zone, and we're dealing with a lot of problems and challenges, quite frankly. But what really helps navigate anyone in this space is having a mentor. I cannot stress enough how much having a mentor has helped me in my journey to success. And the learning zone is somewhere where you would want to be ideally. I truly believe that all these millionaires and billionaires you see online and people that you might know were in the zone for a very long time and still might be in the zone. So for example, with myself, I'm still getting familiar with this whole YouTube thing. It's a completely new skill set and something that I still need to get familiar with, right? At first, when I started, I in full transparency, I used to use like a teleprompter and I would read like this, but I knew that it wasn't really going to be authentic and the real Sabelo Moshesh wouldn't be able to come out that way. So then I started doing like bullet points, and I found that with doing that, the real me could come out and I could be more authentic to myself. But again, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I just kept on fearing, oh, what are people going to think of me when I do this? No, I understood that being in the learning zone, I am going to deal with a lot of challenges and problems. But in acquiring those new skill sets, I know that once I enter the green zone, like a lot of things will start flourishing, and by then hopefully the channel will grow and I'd be able to teach someone else how to navigate that same space. But I can only do that if I push past that learning zone. So this is where a lot of things will feel very uncomfortable. Like I said, you are acquiring new skill sets. It is going to feel uncomfortable, but you know, deep down, you know that the reward on the other side of the tunnel is a lot better and a lot more fulfilling. And trust me, I do understand when you're in the learning zone, it's quite difficult when you don't see the rewards for your efforts being put in, but you need to be patient and understand that the new skill sets that you're acquiring will, at some point, with the right amount of effort and time, you will see those results. So for example, another skill set that I decided to take upon this year was sales, right? Sales is the backbone of pretty much every business. So I knew that if I learn this one skill, I at least can be very valuable in the marketplace. And it's still difficult today. Like taking on sales calls and speaking to new prospects, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about the way you speak to people, the way you can handle different situations. But learning the skill set has allowed me to make more money this year than I've ever made in my entire life. And in doing so, that's when you can start seeing the things that you can do with your money. So for example, investing in equipment for content creation and taking your girlfriend out on more dinner dates, stuff like that makes me very happy to see that all the effort that I'm putting into something is finally being shown, right? In the small amount of way, but you build on that step by step. Of course, we have entering the green zone, right? Which is the final stage, if you would like to call it. This is when you begin to find your purpose in life. You find your purpose and you work really hard to fulfill that purpose. And in doing so, you get to live your dreams, right? You get to have new goals and set new expectations for yourself. And you also realize that you have different aspirations at this point. But in all honesty, I think being in the learning zone can actually be more beneficial. And I think once you enter the green zone, that's when you have pretty much reached the goals that you really want to set out for yourself. So like I said, your green zone is where you actually begin to find purpose. I don't know what my purpose is. All honesty, I don't know what my purpose is, but in terms of the green zone, I know that I'm starting to realize the aspirations that I have in life. And I've set new goals and expectations for myself. So for example, that of course would be making more money and having more of an impact on other people's lives, right? This is stuff that I've realized because I'm slowly entering that zone in terms of my realizations. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't get the learning zone in check and in place. So now being in the green zone, I understand that by the end of 2024, I want to do this and I want to do this. And that is the exact same approach that you guys can have as well. When you set new goals and new aspirations and new realizations for yourself, that is when you can begin to come out of your comfort zone and actually take charge of your life and realize that this is something that you really want to do. So let me give you guys some practical steps that you can implement into your lives starting from today. The biggest one, an absolute game changer for me, has been surrounding yourself with people who will support your visions and goals. Sometimes it's very difficult to do so if you haven't cultivated an environment where you've told the people around you that, listen, this is where I want to be in life. You need people who are gonna push you to that level. This has absolutely been the best game changer for myself. Another thing that you can do is actually set smaller and more achievable goals. A big mistake that I made when I first got started in the whole space was that I would have like 5 different goals, 5 to like 8 different goals. And if I didn't hit those, I would feel very mad about myself. So instead, what I did was I would only set 3 goals, right? 3 goals that I knew that I could achieve in a record time and actually keep myself accountable for. So if you have 10 or like many goals, break it down into just 3 goals that you know that you can achieve properly. Another thing is to embrace failure as a learning experience. Like, I can't tell you how many times this year I've failed at so many things that I've tried to do, but what's really kept me going and what helped me get my shit together was just, again, having people remind me of the goals that I set out and the expectations that I had about myself. So even though I was failing, I knew that this is all just still a learning experience, and you don't beat yourself up about it because you're acquiring a new skill set, you're trying to do new things, you are going to fail. There's no question about it, you are going to fail. But what would set you apart from other people is how quick can you bounce back? How quick can you apply your own resilience to then get back on track and achieve the goals that you want to achieve? And then don't forget to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it may be. Like, I remember for myself, with my ever first paycheck, I booked a train ticket all the way to London, and I got to attend the Modball event where I had the likes of meeting entrepreneurs that I really looked up to, such as Jordan Welch. So that was a big game changer for me. And you know, I also took myself out just for like a little lasagna and cheesecake for dessert. That's something that I like doing, right? It's just to remind myself that I'm actually proud of what I'm doing, and that it's not always about not recognizing when you are progressing in life, because it's very important to recognize when you have made those small incremental changes to achieve your goals. So there you have it, guys. Stepping out of your comfort zone can be very uncomfortable. I understand that. It can be very uncomfortable, but it is the only way to grow. There is no other way. And I really want you guys to remember something. Every step that you take out of your comfort zone is you just getting one step closer to achieving the best version of yourself. I know you hear a lot of the self-help stuff, but it is honestly the only way. It's something that I've done in my life, and I know it can change the lives of others. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Take care, guys.